Hi everybody, my name is Dennis and welcome back to another album review. Today we're reviewing the latest record from Paak entitled Ventura. I was really looking forward to this. I loved a couple of the singles I heard going into it, and I thought it was going to be a really fun album, and I really did enjoy it through and through. It has a really nice, fun, funky sound to it that is reminiscent of many of the classic jazz era songs of the 80s and 70s, and just has this really unique, funky feel to it that is just so infectiously fun all the way throughout. I really just love a lot of the fun, upbeat sounds that this thing brings to the table with its various bass lines and trumpets and horns and etc. It's really just a fun album all the way through. I really love the song Come Home, which had a really nice background vocal to the instrumental, which included a really beautiful piano, and Andre 3000's verse was really spot on this song. It was a really enjoyable track. Make It Better was a really beautifully smooth song with Smokey Robinson really doing a great job with his vocals on it. I thought it was that they harmonized really well with those of Paak's, and it made for a really enjoyable song. Reachin' Too Much was almost in two parts, where about the first minute and a half or so was this solid, although not all that impressive, funky jazz beat, which, again, it was fine, it just wasn't all that amazing. But then the second leg of the song, which takes about the last 3 to 4 minutes of the song, is this really enjoyable part where I absolutely love the chorus on this thing. I love the vocals that I believe it's pronounced Layla Hathaway. I love the vocals that she brings to the table, and something about the instrumental just in about every other line of the chorus there, or like right in like the first line of the chorus, is just so fun. It's almost this smooth yet sharp sound that just kind of radiates along with the vocals, and it's just this really infectious noise, and I love it a lot. The song Winner's Circle had probably the best bass line across the entire album. It is so absolutely drop dead amazing. It is so infectious, it's so catchy, it's so moving. I mean, the bass line on this thing just moves through your entire body as you hear it. It's really just something to sit in awe at. I also enjoyed the lyrics of it, which mostly discussed Paak feeling fed up with relationships that were too easy, that it felt like he was just always getting exactly what he wanted and it got boring. But now he found this new woman that gives him something to look forward to. She tries to have an actual real relationship before making things too physical. And even though he may still try to get to that next step, he enjoys the chase that it brings. And I think it brings this nice dynamic where a lot of the earlier songs were just about generally happy relationships, even though, for example, the song Make It Better did talk about feelings of things getting stale in the relationship that was just too easygoing, if anything. And the song Reachin' Too Much, where it seemed like she was just trying way too hard in the relationship and it was almost making it too much pressure on him. I really enjoyed the different perspective that the song Winner's Circle gave. I thought it was really interesting. From there, the song Good Heels and Yada Yada were okay. Good Heels is very brief, and to me it doesn't really give itself the chance to become something amazing. To me it ends a bit too quickly to get a full enjoyment out of it. I mean, the instrumental wasn't even all that impressive in my opinion. It was fine, it was just somewhat forgettable. The same can be said for Yada Yada, even though it did have a more sufficient length in my opinion. I thought some of the lyrics on here were decent, but not as interesting as some of the other tracks, and a lot of times the instrumentals were just not as impressive as I would have liked. Again, it has its fun moments, it just is somewhat forgettable at times. However, I did really enjoy the song King James. A lot of it talking about just having strength within black environments and black communities, and trying to make one's lives better both for yourself and for those around you. And he cites LeBron James as an example, who took a lot of time and money to try and improve the lives of various different people within those areas. And I thought it was a really nice song, which has an absolutely amazing chorus. I love the beautiful soft vocals on it, and I really love just the whole fun upbeat instrumental that goes along with it. To me, makes it a really great standout track on the album. I didn't care for the song Chosen One too much. I thought the instrumental was kind of awkward and muddled, and a lot of times the vocals from both Anderson .Paak and I believe it's pronounced Sonia Elise were a bit almost offbeat at times, especially during Sonia's choruses. I thought that it almost seemed like the beat was cut short in a couple of moments, and it made it sound really choppy and awkward, and I really just didn't care for that as much. Although I will admit Anderson .Paak's rap verse at the end of it is pretty solid. It doesn't really make up for a lot of the other sins committed earlier in the song. It just ends up being a bit of a disappointing listen overall. However, Jet Black featuring Brandy is an absolutely phenomenal song. I love the smooth, relaxing, calming nature that this song holds, and Brandy's absolutely spot-on delivery in the hook really does bring this song together and makes it such just a chill yet enjoyable track just from start to finish. I love it. I also enjoy the song Twilight with its kind of boppy, bouncy bass line mixed with some really nice pianos and some I believe it's kind of a horn-like instrument. I'm not exactly sure what it is 100%. But I thought it was just a really fun, really enjoyable track. And even though it wasn't anything necessarily outstanding, it was just a fun, upbeat, kind of interesting moment. It was definitely unlike any of the other songs on the album. But there was a good unique to it. It wasn't uniquely bad by any means. But I really did love the way the album closed out with the song What Can We Do, featuring the late Nate Dogg. This, although brief, is a very beautiful ode to Nate Dogg and pretty much everything he's done to the genre, where it takes some unreleased, unused samples that Nate Dogg had recorded, and it implements them into the song in a really beautiful way. The vocals from both of these artists are absolutely breathtaking. The beat is very fun, it's very enjoyable, and the ending of it, where we have almost this very brief conversation between Nate Dogg and Anderson .Paak, is almost reminiscent of the end of To Pimp a Butterfly, where Kendrick Lamar is having a full-blown interview with Tupac. And even though this lacks that grandiose nature or the lyrical significance of that track, it still is a very beautiful and powerful ode, where a lot of times through the song he cites a lot of Nate Dogg's accomplishments. I mean, he refers to him as, I believe it was the master of hooks or something along those lines, where it's just acknowledging what he did for the genre as a whole. And it's a really beautiful, touching moment that I really loved on the album. I almost just wish it was longer. That's really the only complaint I have for this song, because I know that you can only have so many audio files from someone who's passed away, but I would have liked to see just a bit more depth to it, if that makes sense, where it almost seems like it cuts itself short. I almost would have liked to see something bolder and riskier done with it, because even though this was beautiful and great and I loved it, I think it could have been that much more just to take it up to that next step. But with all that being said, this album is great. Now, I don't think it's quite as good as Oxnard, which I still regret not reviewing at the time it came out. I did really love that album. I don't think it's quite as good, but I do think it comes pretty darn close. So that being said, This is just a straight up fun album all the way through. I'm feeling a light 8 on it. If you listen to it, be sure to tell me what you thought of it. Tell me how wrong my opinion is as always, and I'll see you in the next review.